Lesson 93. Our new neighbor. Nigel is our new next-door neighbor. He's a pilot. He was in the R.A.F. He will fly to New York next month. The month after next, he'll fly to Tokyo. At the moment, he's in Madrid. He flew to Spain a week ago. He'll return to London the week after next. He's only 41 years old, and he has already been to nearly every country in the world. Nigel is a very lucky man. But his wife isn't very lucky. She usually stays at home. Lesson 95. Tickets, please. 2 return tickets to London, please. What time will the next train leave?
At 19 minutes past 8.
Which platform?
Platform 2. Over the bridge. What time will the next train leave?
At 8:19.
We've got plenty of time.
It's only 3 minutes to 8.
Let's go and have a drink. There's a bar next door to the station.
We had better go back to the station now, Ken.
Tickets, please.
We want to catch the 8:19 to London.
You've just missed it.
What? It's only 8:15.
I'm sorry, sir. That clock's 10 minutes slow.
When's the next train?
In 5 hours' time.
Lesson 97. A small blue case. I left a suitcase on the train to London the other day.
Can you describe it, sir?
It's a small blue case and it's got a zip. There's a label on the handle with my name and address on it.
Is this case yours?
No, that's not mine.
What about this one? This one's got a label.
Let me see it.
What's your name and address?
David Hall, 83 Bridge Street.
That's right. D.N. Hall, 83 Bridge Street. £3.50, please.
Here you are.
Thank you.
Hey!
What's the matter?
This case doesn't belong to me. You've given me the wrong case. Lesson 99. Ow! Ow!
What's the matter, Andy?
I slipped and fell downstairs.
Have you hurt yourself?
Yes, I have. I think that I've hurt my back.
Try and stand up. Can you stand up? Here, let me help you.
I'm sorry, Lucy. I'm afraid that I can't get up.
I think that the doctor had better see you. I'll phone Dr. Carter. The doctor says that he will come at once. I'm sure that you need an X-ray, Andy.
Lesson 101. A card from Jimmy.
Read Jimmy's card to me, please, Penny. I have just arrived in Scotland, and I'm staying at a youth hostel.
Eh?
He says he's just arrived in Scotland. He says he's staying at a youth hostel. You know, he's a member of the YHA.
The what?
The YHA, Mum. The Youth Hostels Association.
What else does he say?
I'll write a letter soon. I hope you are all well.
What? Speak up, Penny. I'm afraid I can't hear you.
He says he'll write a letter soon. He hopes we are all well. Love, Jimmy.
Is that all? He doesn't say very much, does he?
He can't write very much on a card, Mum.
Lesson 103. The French Test. How was the exam, Richard?
Not too bad. I think I passed in English and mathematics. The questions were very easy. How about you, Gary?
The English and maths papers weren't easy enough for me. I hope I haven't failed.
I think I failed the French paper. I could answer 16 of the questions. They were very easy, but I couldn't answer the rest. They were too difficult for me.
French tests are awful, aren't they?
I hate them. I'm sure I've got a low mark.
Oh, cheer up. Perhaps we didn't do too badly. The guy next to me wrote his name at the top of the paper.
Yes?
Then he sat there and looked at it for 3 hours. He didn't write a word. Lesson 105. Full of mistakes. Where's Sandra, Bob? I want her.
Do you want to speak to her?
Yes, I do. I want her to come to my office. Tell her to come at once.
Did you want to see me?
Ah, yes, Sandra. How do you spell intelligent? Can you tell me?
INTELLIGENT.
That's right. You've typed it with only one L. This letter's full of mistakes. I want you to type it again.
Yes, I'll do that. I'm sorry about that.
And here's a little present for you.
What is it?
It's a dictionary. I hope it'll help you. Lesson 107. It's too small.
Do you like this dress, madam?
I like the color very much. It's a lovely dress, but it's too small for me.
What about this one? It's a lovely dress. It's very smart. Short skirts are in fashion now. Would you like to try it?
All right. I'm afraid this green dress is too small for me as well. It's smaller than the blue one. I don't like the color either. It doesn't suit me at all. I think the blue dress is prettier. Could you show me another blue dress? I want a dress like that one, but it must be my size. I'm afraid I haven't got a larger dress. This is the largest dress in the shop.
Lesson 109. A good idea.
Shall I make some coffee, Jane?
That's a good idea, Charlotte.
It's ready. Do you want any milk?
Just a little, please.
What about some sugar? 2 teaspoonfuls?
No, less than that. 1.5 teaspoonfuls, please. That's enough for me. That was very nice.
Would you like some more?
Yes, please. I'd like a cigarette, too. May I have one?
Of course. I think there are a few in that box.
I'm afraid it's empty.
What a pity.
It doesn't matter.
Have a biscuit instead. Eat more and smoke less.
That's very good advice.
Lesson 111. The most expensive model. I like this television very much. How much does it cost?
It's the most expensive model in the shop. It costs £500.
That's too expensive for us. We can't afford all that money.
This model's less expensive than that one. It's only £300. But, of course, it's not as good as the expensive one.
I don't like this model. The other model's more expensive, but it's worth the money. Can we buy it on installments?
Of course. You can pay a deposit of £30 and then £14 a month for 3 years.
Do you like it, dear?
I certainly do, but I don't like the price. You always want the best, but we can't afford it. Sometimes you think you're a millionaire.
Millionaires don't buy things on installments. Lesson 113. Small change. Fares, please.
Trafalgar Square, please.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't change a £10 note. Haven't you got any small change?
I've got no small change, I'm afraid.
I'll ask some of the passengers. Have you any small change, sir?
I'm sorry, I've got none. I haven't got any either.
Can you change this £10 note, madam?
I'm afraid I can't.
Neither can I.
I'm very sorry, sir. You must get off the bus. None of our passengers can change this note. They're all millionaires.
Except us. I've got some small change. So have I.
Lesson 115. Knock, knock.
Isn't there anyone at home?
I'll knock again, Helen. Everything's very quiet. I'm sure there's no one at home.
But that's impossible. Carol and Tom invited us to lunch. Look through the window. Can you see anything?
Nothing at all.
Let's try the back door.
Look, everyone's in the garden.
Hello, Helen. Hello, Jim.
Everybody wants to have lunch in the garden. It's nice and warm out here.
Come and have something to drink.
Thanks, Carol. May I have a glass of beer, please?
Beer? There's none left. You can have some lemonade.
Lemonade?
Don't believe her, Jim. She's only joking. Have some beer.
Lesson 117. Tommy's breakfast.
When my husband was going into the dining room this morning, he dropped some coins on the floor. There were coins everywhere. We looked for them, but we could not find them all. While we were having breakfast, our little boy, Tommy, found 2 small coins on the floor. He put them both into his mouth. We both tried to get the coins, but it was too late. Tommy had already swallowed them. Later that morning, when I was doing the housework, my husband phoned me from the office. "How's Tommy?" he asked. "I don't know," I answered. "Tommy's been to the toilet 3 times this morning, but I haven't had any change yet."
Lesson 119. A true story. Do you like stories? I want to tell you a true story. It happened to a friend of mine a year ago. While my friend, George, was reading in bed, 2 thieves climbed into his kitchen. After they had entered the house, they went into the dining room. It was very dark, so they turned on a torch. Suddenly, they heard a voice behind them. "What's up? What's up?" someone called. The thieves dropped the torch and ran away as quickly as they could. George heard the noise and came downstairs quickly. He turned on the light, but he couldn't see anyone. The thieves had already gone. But George's parrot, Henry, was still there. "What's up, George?" he called. "Nothing, Henry," George said and smiled. "Go back to sleep." Lesson 121. The Man in a Hat. I bought 2 expensive dictionaries here half an hour ago, but I forgot to take them with me.
Who served you, sir?
The lady who is standing behind the counter.
Which books did you buy?
The books which are on the counter.
Did you serve this gentleman half an hour ago, Carolyn? He says he's the man who bought these books.
I can't remember. The man who I served was wearing a hat.
Have you got a hat, sir?
Yes, I have.
Would you put it on, please?
All right.
Is this the man that you served, Carolyn?
Yes, I recognize him now.
Lesson 123. A trip to Australia. Look, Scott. This is a photograph I took during my trip to Australia.
Let me see it, Mike. This is a good photograph. Who are these people?
They're people I met during the trip. That's the ship we traveled on.
What a beautiful ship. Who's this?
That's the man I told you about. Remember?
Ah, yes, the one who offered you a job in Australia.
That's right.
Who's this?
Guess.
It's not you, is it?
That's right. I grew a beard during the trip, but I shaved it off when I came home.
Why did you shave it off?
My wife didn't like it. Lesson 125. Tea for two.
Can't you come in and have tea now, Peter?
Not yet. I must water the garden first.
Do you have to water it now?
I'm afraid I must. Look at it. It's terribly dry.
What a nuisance.
Last summer it was very dry, too. Don't you remember? I had to water it every day.
Well, I'll have tea by myself. That was quick. Have you finished already?
Yes. Look out of the window.
It's raining. That means you don't need to water the garden.
That was a pleasant surprise. It means I can have tea instead. Lesson 127. A famous actress.
Can you recognize that woman, Liz? I think I can, Kate. It must be Karen Marsh, the actress. I thought so. Who's that beside her? That must be Conrad Reeves. Conrad Reeves, the actor? It can't be. Let me have another look. I think you're right. Isn't he her third husband? No, he must be her fourth or fifth. Doesn't Karen Marsh look old? She does, doesn't she? I read she's 29, but she must be at least 40. I'm sure she is. She was a famous actress when I was still at school. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Not that long ago. I'm not more than 29 myself.
Lesson 129. 70 miles an hour.
Look, Gary. That policeman's waving to you. He wants you to stop.
Where do you think you are? On a racetrack? You must have been driving at 70 miles an hour.
I can't have been.
I was doing 80 when I overtook you. Didn't you see the speed limit?
I'm afraid I didn't, officer. I must have been dreaming.
He wasn't dreaming, officer. I was telling him to drive slowly.
That's why I didn't see the sign.
Let me see your driving license. I won't charge you this time, but you'd better not do it again.
Thank you. I'll certainly be more careful.
I told you to drive slowly, Gary.
You always tell me to drive slowly, darling.
Well, next time you'd better take my advice.
Lesson 131. Don't be so sure. Where are you going to spend your holidays this year, Gary?
We may go abroad. I'm not sure. My wife wants to go to Egypt. I'd like to go there too. We can't make up our minds.
Will you travel by sea or by air?
We may travel by sea.
It's cheaper, isn't it?
It may be cheaper, but it takes a long time.
I'm sure you'll enjoy yourselves.
Don't be so sure. We might not go anywhere. My wife always worries too much. Who's going to look after the dog? Who's going to look after the house? Who's going to look after the garden? We have this problem every year. In the end, we stay at home and look after everything.
Lesson 133. Sensational news.
Have you just made a new film, Miss Marsh?
Yes, I have.
Are you going to make another?
No, I'm not. I'm going to retire. I feel very tired. I don't want to make another film for a long time. Let's buy a newspaper, Liz. Listen to this. Karen Marsh, Sensational News. By our reporter, Alan Jones. Karen Marsh arrived at London Airport today. She was wearing a blue dress and a mink coat. She told me she had just made a new film. She said she was not going to make another. She said she was going to retire. She told reporters she felt very tired and didn't want to make another film for a long time. I wonder why.
Lesson 135. The latest report. Are you really going to retire, Miss Marsh?
I may. I can't make up my mind. I will have to ask my future husband. He won't let me make another film.
Your future husband, Miss Marsh?
Yes, let me introduce him to you. His name is Carlos. We're going to get married next week. Look, Liz.
Here's another report about Karen Marsh. Listen. Karen Marsh, the latest. At her London hotel today, Miss Marsh told reporters she might retire. She said she couldn't make up her mind. She said she would have to ask her future husband. She said her future husband would not let her make another film. Then she introduced us to Carlos and told us they would get married next week.
That's sensational news, isn't it, Kate?
It certainly is. He'll be her 6th husband.
Lesson 137. A Pleasant Dream.
Are you doing the football pools, Brian?
Yes, I've nearly finished, Julie. I'm sure we'll win something this week.
You always say that, but we never win anything. What will you do if you win a lot of money?
If I win a lot of money, I'll buy you a mink coat.
I don't want a mink coat. I want to see the world.
All right. If we win a lot of money, we'll travel round the world and we'll stay at the best hotels. Then we'll return home and buy a big house in the country. We'll have a beautiful garden and...
But if we spend all that money, we'll be poor again. What'll we do then?
If we spend all the money, we'll try and win the football pools again.
It's a pleasant dream, but everything depends on if.
Lesson 139. Is that you, John? Is that you, John?
Yes, speaking.
Tell Mary we'll be late for dinner this evening.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Hasn't Mary told you? She invited Charlotte and me to dinner this evening. I said I would be at your house at 6 o'clock, but the boss wants me to do some extra work. I'll have to stay at the office. I don't know when I'll finish. Oh, and by the way, my wife wants to know if Mary needs any help.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That is John Smith, isn't it?
Yes, I'm John Smith.
You are John Smith, the engineer, aren't you?
That's right.
You work for the Overseas Engineering Company, don't you?
No, I don't. I'm John Smith, the telephone engineer, and I'm repairing your telephone line.
Lesson 141. Sally's first train ride.
Last week, my 4-year-old daughter, Sally, was invited to a children's party. I decided to take her by train. Sally was very excited because she had never traveled on a train before. She sat near the window and asked questions about everything she saw. Suddenly, a middle-aged lady got on the train and sat opposite Sally. "Hello, little girl," she said. Sally did not answer, but looked at her curiously. The lady was dressed in a blue coat and a large, funny hat. After the train had left the station, the lady opened her handbag and took out her powder compact. She then began to make up her face.
Why are you doing that?
Sally asked. To make myself beautiful, the lady answered. She put away her compact and smiled kindly.
But you are still ugly,
Sally said. Sally was amused, but I was very embarrassed.
Lesson 143. A walk through the woods. I live in a very old town which is surrounded by beautiful woods. It is a famous beauty spot. On Sundays, hundreds of people come from the city to see our town and to walk through the woods. Visitors have been asked to keep the woods clean and tidy. Litter baskets have been placed under the trees, but people still throw their rubbish everywhere. Last Wednesday, I went for a walk in the woods. What I saw made me very sad. I counted 7 old cars and 3 old refrigerators. The litter baskets were empty, and the ground was covered with pieces of paper, cigarette ends, old tires, empty bottles, and rusty tins. Among the rubbish, I found a sign which said, "Anyone who leaves litter in these woods will be prosecuted."